Kubo and the Two Strings with a 96% critic rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Does it live up to the hype according to this guy right here on the internet you just randomly found? Short answer, yes. Here's why. So, Kubo is an amazing stop-motion film, and that is the one thing that kept me in awe throughout the entire movie is the stop-motion. Even, like, a lot of these set pieces, what you think is CG, are actually just giant stop-motion set pieces, and I loved it, and the small use of CG helped accentuate that even further. So, Kubo is about, obviously, this boy named Kubo, who happens to be the son of Hanzo. For those of you who know anything about Japanese lore, Hanzo is a big deal. He was one of the giant samurai. His story's amazing. Go look it up. His story's very similar to what it is in Overwatch, or his story might have been swapped with Genji's, but, you know, just look up Hanzo and his story. It's really cool for all you history buffs. Go look it up. Anyhow, when Kubo was born, his grandfather took his eye, and his father died in the process of defending him, and this is all laid out literally in, like, the very opening of the movie. I'm not spoiling anything. Hanzo is dead. So, the movie opens with Kubo's mom defending against some sort of thing, and it has a voiceover from Kubo going, "If you must blink, do it now, because if you look away or flinch or whatever, our hero shall surely die." This plays into what he does later, well, throughout the movie, which he's a storyteller. That's how he supports himself and his mother, who got injured during the opening confrontation of the movie. She hits her head, and then they live on a cave, and she sort of shows signs of, like, dementia and memory loss because of that head injury. But she's also, like, this very powerful sorceress, and Kubo also has some magic when he tells his stories. You know, he plays his instrument, and he carries what looks like construction paper or origami paper, and they come to life and make this story, and he just draws in crowds. Like, the entire town is just, like, captivated by his story. But his problem is he can never end the story. And the one thing to move the story along, to introduce all the other characters, such as Charlize Theron's and Matthew McConaughey's character, is his mom tells him never to stay out past dark. And that really played in. You're like, so it just goes through a nice amount of time where you just see Kubo and his mom, his natural habitat, and her occasionally getting excited when she tells a story, and then, like, the chemistry that happens between Kubo and his mom is really heartfelt, and you really feel it throughout those scenes. And, like, her connection to her son is incredible. The big thing she tells him, you know, to set up the plot basically is, don't go out after dark or my sisters will find you and they will try to take your eye for your grandfather because, you know, he's a dick. Shocker. Hell, you're a newborn baby. Let me take your eye for myself. You know. Dick! So anyhow, stuff happens and Kubo winds up in, like, this sort of in-between world between the living and dead, if I understood it correctly, but it was actually just sort of like the living world the entire time. He's just transported far away, and he runs into a monkey played by Charlize Theron, and Charlize Theron puts in a good performance. Much like Matthew McConaughey at the beginning of his introduction. Both him and Charlize seem to... I think it was just like the first day of recording or something. They just weren't quite in the know of voice acting. Like, voice acting's still acting, it's just different because you have no one to play off of. Everything needs to happen in your head, and occasionally you have images on the screen and telling you what to do, and then the animators, if they're nice, will do the lip flaps to you. If not, you gotta match those flaps. You know, that's what ADR's for and all that, and generally if you can't get the other people back, they'll use sound-alikes, or they'll just go, the first take wasn't so bad, we'll just leave it in there. But the monkey does act very much like a mother figure to Kubo. And throughout their journey, they need to find the three pieces of this armor. It's like the sword unbreakable, the armor impenetrable, and like the helmet indestructible or something like that. And sort of like a Legend of Zelda quest in a way, like sort of the things they have to do and the things they run into. Like, a lot of people see parallels. So they go along, and eventually they come across Matthew McConaughey's character, which is a beetle. And turns out He was one of Hanzo's proteges, if you will. He's like, oh, dude, you're like, well, it wasn't like, oh, he wasn't like, oh, dude, you're son of my master? All right. He wasn't like that, but, you know, it was just like me doing a quick reenaction, like, dude, like, I totally respect you, like, you have my support all the way. And then these three go out finding each of the things till ultimately we get to the climax of the film, which there's a lot of family struggle between the sisters trying to get him, and, you know, a bunch of symbolism between the dead and how we should respect them. And all of that stuff comes together into this beautiful climax of a very accepting ending, a very happy ending. It wasn't angry at all, but this movie did have some sequences in which you have like a real little kid, let's say like 6 maybe? Some of this stuff might be scary, just some of the imagery, but like the set pieces for the action were insane. The chemistry between characters was great. The comedy was there. So all in all, it was a really good movie. I gotta recommend you go out and see it. In the credits, we're set to a cover of My Guitar Gently Weeps by the Beatles, and they had like this really cool animation going up until, actually go see it for yourself, just at the end of the animated credits, you'll know what I'm talking about, and it just helps put in perspective the scale of this movie and the time it took in this movie. All in all, Matthew McConaughey was solid, even though his opening lines do seem a little off, but when by the time like the lines actually start carrying weight and emotion, it's great. Charlize Theron, always great. The kid who plays Kubo, who I'm totally blanking on right now, might be Art Parkins. I'm not entirely sure, but he was the first one on the bill, so I'm gonna go with that. You know, he's solid throughout the movie, and as I said, the visuals, especially with like all the paper magic going on and all the music the soundscapes and music in this movie were also fantastic. It was amazing. So all in all, if you like Japanese culture, even if you don't, if you like a grand story of adventure, if you like stories of familial struggle and a bunch of cool shit, hell, if you like The Legend of Zelda, basically, you'll like this movie. If you didn't like Legend of Zelda, this is still a great adventure movie to take your kids to, even though I would say it's not directly aimed at kids. It's more, a kid can understand what's happening and still find enjoyment, and so can an adult, and so can, like, a grandparent. So all in all, this movie carries a decent message, and beautifully composed, beautiful visuals. Lakia Studio did it right. Go out and see this movie. And I'll see you guys next time when I return to the movie theater. I don't know what for yet, but you'll obviously see it. So, I'm going to break on 3. Go see Kubo and the Two Strings. And we're going to break on 3. I already said that, didn't I? Anyhow, 1, 2, 3, break.